Your sister's wedding was flawless. Mom's smile stretched across the dinner table. When's it your turn? She asked. I raised my glass, sipped my wine, and said it already happened. You just weren't invited. The room froze. My name is Kel Monroe. I'm 32. And if you think this is about a forgotten invitation, stay with me. Sometimes the real betrayal isn't being left out. It's realizing you were never truly counted in. The room shimmered with the sparkle of champagne glasses and the weight of carefully curated guilt. Dad cleared his throat. My sister's eyes blinked rapidly, as if she'd stumbled into someone else's story. You're joking, right? She asked. I set my glass down. No. Mom blinked, stunned, like she'd been struck. When? She whispered. 6 months ago, I said. At a courthouse. Just the two of us. No fuss, no drama. Her expression crumbled. Lips parted in disbelief, the kind only shattered expectations can conjure. You didn't tell us. No, I replied. Because you were too busy planning her perfect day. You never asked if I was seeing anyone. And they hadn't. Not once. When I got engaged, I kept it private. Not out of shame, but out of protection from comparisons, judgments, and the subtle ways they made me feel like a spare piece in someone else's fairy tale. So we eloped. Just me, Asher, and a steel blue sky. No venue drama, no seating charts, no tears from Mom over table linens that weren't elegant enough. I mailed a single photo afterward, me in my dress, laughing real. No one replied. Tonight, I gave them the truth. Raw, clean, final. My sister looked away. Mom swallowed her wine like it was poison. Dad finally asked something that mattered. Is he good to you? I nodded. Yes, better than you ever were. After dinner, the silence began to crack. Mom, as she always did when control slipped, tried to reframe the story. You should have told us, she said, her voice trembling in practiced tones. As your mother, I had the right to be there. I raised an eyebrow. All right. I looked at my sister. You didn't think I had the right to be at yours. Remember? Because I hadn't forgotten the missing RSVP, the last-minute text that said, we assumed you'd be busy with work. I hadn't been busy. I sat alone in my apartment scrolling through their wedding photos flooding social media. Heart racing, face hot, realizing they never truly wanted me there. I was always the background sister, the one who didn't need help, the one who made unconventional choices, the one who didn't fit their story. So I made my own. My wedding was intimate. No matching dresses, no tiered cake, just vows whispered on a windy hilltop, hands pressed together, eyes locked in defiance of everyone who said love only mattered if it was witnessed. I didn't post it online. I didn't need their likes. Dad sighed now, heavy and tired. Why didn't you tell me? I almost believed the softness in his voice, until I remembered his toast at my sister's wedding. We're proud to have a daughter doing things the right way. I looked him in the eye. You didn't ask. No one did. You only saw me when I reflected what you wanted to see. Across the table, for the first time, I saw my sister's smile fade. I didn't think you'd want to come to my wedding, she muttered, eyes darting to her plate. You always make everything about you, I said. That was rich coming from the girl who demanded 5 dress changes and cried over the shade of peonies. I tilted my head. Not inviting someone, then justifying it later, doesn't make it right. It makes it rehearsed. She flinched. So did Mom. Dad raised his fork like a shield. I pressed on, not to hurt, but to witness. I would never be the sister who looked perfect in bridesmaid photos. The one who made your love story shine just by standing quietly. That's unfair. Watching you celebrate while I sat home wondering what I did wrong was unfair. Years of revisionist history, being called dramatic for speaking up, labeled too intense, too independent, too much, and yet somehow never enough to be included. Mom jumped in. Well, it's over now. Maybe we can move forward. I shook my head. That's the thing. I already did without you. Her face fell like a chandelier cracking from the ceiling. I stood, napkin folded neatly in hand. I didn't come here to explode. I came to set the record straight. You got the wedding you wanted. You got the daughter you celebrated. And I got the peace none of you ever offered. And with that, I walked out, leaving behind the only seat I'd ever truly owned at that table, the empty one. 3 days passed. No calls, no texts. Just silence. Then, on a Wednesday night, Mom emailed. You blindsided us. Your sister is heartbroken. There was no need for that scene. I stared at the screen. That scene? That was me finally speaking. One truth at one table, after decades of swallowing everything else. I didn't reply, but they weren't done. My sister shared a throwback on social media, a photo from her wedding day. She captioned it, "Some people watch, some people disappear. Real love shows up." The comments rolled in as expected. Friends offering validation, distant cousins adding their 2 cents, a digital parade of loyalty. I didn't flinch. They could spin the story any way they wanted. I had already lived it. Meanwhile, Asher, my husband, was folding laundry when I mentioned it. He didn't ask for details. He just walked over, kissed my forehead, and said, "Do they even know your favorite flower?" They didn't. He did. Calla lilies. He'd planted them outside our rental months before we married. "Now your name lives in the garden," he said. My family never asked why we eloped. They never noticed the weight lifted from me once I stopped performing daughterhood, like it was a lifelong, unpaid role. I moved on with my life until another email appeared. This time from Dad. 5 simple words. "Can we talk?" Just us. I paused over the message. Sometimes the ones who stay quiet after your truth explodes are the ones finally hearing it. Other times, they just hope to pull you back before you realize you're free. I took a deep breath and typed back, "We'll see." You suggested the diner, Neutral Ground, the same one we visited after my violin recitals. He was already seated when I arrived, hands folded, coffee half full. For a moment, I glimpsed the Dad I remembered, steady, quiet, unreadable. "I'm not here to take sides," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "You already have." He nodded slowly. "I know." Silence stretched between us like fabric pulled too tight. "Getting married without telling us hurt," he admitted. I didn't flinch. "And you never asked where I was on her wedding day." That hurt too. He looked down, tracing his cup's rim with his thumb. "I didn't know how far it had gone between you and your mother, you and your sister." I let it hang. "Dad, it hadn't gone anywhere. It had stayed exactly where it always was, unequal." He didn't argue. Instead, he reached into his coat and slid a photo across the table, me and Asher, smiling, wind in our hair, my dress caught mid-spin. "I kept this," he said, "even when your mom said it was disrespectful." I stared at the image. My hands had trembled when I sent it, a final olive branch, a last attempt. "I didn't know how to reach you," he admitted. "Not without her listening." I leaned back. "Then maybe don't reach for me until you're willing to stop whispering around her." His eyes softened. "I miss you." I folded the photo into my purse. "I'm not lost, Dad. I just stopped walking toward you." He nodded. No defense, no pleading. Maybe now he finally understood. I hadn't abandoned the family. I had simply stopped expecting them to meet me halfway. 2 days later, Mom appeared at my door. No announcement, no knock. She sat in her car like a lawyer, sunglasses on, jaw set like stone. I opened the door slowly. She stepped out, arms crossed, lips tight. "I suppose your father told you I'm the villain now," she said. I didn't answer. Villains don't always wear black. Sometimes they wear pearls and speak in measured tones. "I raised you better than this," she said. "Did you?" I asked calmly. She exhaled. "You embarrassed us. You humiliated your sister." "No," I replied. "I answered your question. You asked when it would be my turn. I told you." That dinner scene? Honesty. Silence stretched, a war without noise. Then she stepped closer. "You've always needed too much," she whispered. "Too much validation. Too much space." Her words landed where they were meant to hit. But this time, they didn't stick. I had already unpacked that wound with Asher in therapy, in the quiet of a marriage she never asked about. I looked at her the way you look at a painting you once loved, but now see clearly. Technique without truth. "You didn't lose a daughter," I said. "You lost the version you controlled. You think you're better than us now." "No," I said. "I'm just done bleeding for applause I never received." She didn't cry. She turned, walked back to her car, engine started. No wave, just tail lights fading down the street. I closed the door calmly. Not every ending needs a slam. Sometimes it needs silence and a lock. A week later, the wedding album arrived. Not mine, my sister's. Cream-colored envelope, gold embossing, Monroe family crest. No note, just the album, either a peace offering or provocation. Asher watched me open it at the kitchen counter. "Sure you want to do this?" he asked. I nodded. Closure isn't always what you want to see. It's what you're ready to face. The first pages were predictable. Dress fittings, champagne flutes, Dad walking her down the aisle. Then the reception. Mom mid-toast, eyes glassy, reciting a long scripted tribute about daughters, dreams, destiny. Then one image stopped me cold, a family portrait. Everyone lined up, smiling, poised. And there it was, my name, but the body beneath it wasn't me. It was my cousin from Vermont. Same height, same dark hair, wearing a dress nearly identical to one I'd worn to graduation. They passed her off as me, framed it, labeled it, shared it online. As if presence could be faked, as if truth were just a caption away from revision. Asher stood behind me, jaw tight. "They replaced you," he said quietly. "No," I whispered. "They erased me and didn't think I'd notice." I slid the album back into the envelope. Didn't cry, didn't scream. I simply wrote one word across the front in permanent marker, return. Dropped it in the mailbox the next morning. No note, no explanation. Because when someone deletes you from the frame of their perfect story, you stop being background. You become the author of your own. They never responded. Not to the returned album, the message, or the unspoken truth inside it. That silence didn't hurt, it clarified. I stopped waiting for apologies, for revisions that would never exist. Instead, I started building my own life. Asher and I found a small lakeside venue. Nothing fancy. A wide porch, twinkle lights, 30 chairs. We called it a celebration of honesty, not a second wedding, not a do-over. Just friends, old colleagues, neighbors with homemade pies. No seating chart. No relatives needing emotional babysitting. When I read our vows aloud in front of those 30 souls, I didn't cry. I breathed. Healing isn't always poetic. Sometimes it's simply honoring what's real, surrounded by those who never made you earn love. Afterward, someone asked if my family would come. I smiled. No, they already attended a wedding, just not mine. That night, I took the last box from the closet. Old cards, framed quotes from Mom, a bridesmaid dress I never wore. I placed everything in a bag, not with anger, but with relief, and dropped it at a donation bin on 7th Street. A girl behind me said, "That's a really pretty dress." I smiled. It was never really mine. Walking away, lighter than I'd felt in years, I realized something. Family isn't defined by sharing your name. Family is who never has to ask twice where you were when it mattered. If you found this story moving, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more real, heartfelt stories about life, love, and the moments that shape us.